Hello there, people of the internet. We're back. We are back again today with some brand new content. And today we're going to do something I've really wanted to do for a while. Something that's a little out of left field, a little wacky and weird. But you know, wacky and weird is what we do best sometimes on this channel. I don't know. Feel like this is something you guys want to see. This is something I want to see, especially after doing the Torna retrospective. I want to sit down and really rank every single character in Xenoblade Chronicles 1, 2, and Torna, and see where the pantheon of characters kind of matches up. Now, obviously, I have my biases. We all know this, okay? I have my views, I have my ideas of what is good and what isn't. So it's you kind of already know where a lot of this is probably going to go. You don't need to be here if you know who I am or what I talk about. You really don't need to know the inner workings of things. But for those who want my nuanced hot takes on characters and how to categorize them within the franchise, you come to the right place. With that being said too, this is going to exclude Xenoblade Chronicles X just because, one, I have not talked about that game on my channel yet, so I kind of want to save my thoughts on a lot of that game's characters, world, story for later, and two, it's a cop-out because I'm in the middle of playing it right now, so there's some things I don't remember, so there are some things that I want to get wrong, so I'm just going to completely outright stop talking about it and not even bother mentioning it. If you have a problem with that, please blame Nintendo. They have not ported the game to the Switch as I am currently talking, which makes it very difficult for me to replay the game again. In any case, first things first, you already know what we have to do. Okay. There we go. First tier made. And where is he? Yeah, he's right here. Okay. I don't think I need to explain this one, okay? I think we're good. I think we understand why this character is here and why he will forever remain here, isolated from the rest of society. Now next I have to figure out how I'm gonna list the rest of these tiers. So I think double S will be the GOAT, and then S will be essential, B will be the mid, or the meh tier. Yeah, we'll say meh. C, now this one, I think this one I'm going to categorize as why are you here? So this is going to be within the context of like the Xenoblade pantheon, of course. Like, I feel like there are some commentaries you can give on characters that are more relevant and would make sense at a specific tier compared to like others, which is why I'm kind of categorizing them as, you know, certain ways. Good. One there. And then D tier is just D tier is the bad character tier. Okay. So this is how I'm going to be organizing the tier list of characters. Please understand that within the context of how I'm discussing these, we have characters that I think are the greatest characters within the Xenoblade universe. Below that are characters that are essential to the story. Below that are just good when they're there. You know, maybe the characters aren't there a lot of the time, but whenever they're on screen, I'm not going to doubt them being there. I'm not going to begrudge them being on the screen. Cool. Then there's the meh tier, which is kind of like, hey, don't really have much to say about you. you could be good, you could be bad. Then there's the why are you here tier. Now this one I think is a really specific commentary, but there are some characters that I look at them and I think, why are you even involved? Who brought you into this world and this game and this cast? What is your purpose here? I don't understand it. And then there's the bad tier, and then you don't even have to talk about the bottom one. Okay, first, let's go in order of the list that we see here. So first is Adam from Xenoblade Torna. He's a really strong lead character in Torna in terms of like being one of the main party members, and he definitely has his presence felt, but Torna is such a succinct experience that he really doesn't have a whole lot of moments to shine compared to like other Xenoblade characters in comparison that have a lot more time in different entries in the series. So, I mean, realistically, I would say he's in between good when there and essential, but I'll probably put him at the bottom of essential. He would be, like, his involvement in Torna is paramount, and his impact in the Xenoblade universe after Torna was a thing is kind of is necessary. So next we have, oh my god, this guy. All right, so if you've watched my videos on 2, you know what my opinions on Akos are. I don't think this will be much of a shock to anyone, but I just think he's a bad character. Now, that's not to say that what he goes through isn't necessarily tragic or not, or, he doesn't have a story. I just think that the way his character is handled in the context of Xenoblade 2 is messy and it's gross, and I wish he was done more justice, because he could have been turned from like a really jokey Team Rocket villain into an actually interesting character, and they just kind of flipped a switch at the very end of the game instead of doing him justice with time. So yeah, he's not good. The fact that his blade dies at the beginning of the game and he doesn't mention it at all to anyone, and the fact that he's just kind of devoid of any sort of like emotion goofball who doesn't really contribute much in terms of being an actual presence or having much of a story until the tail end of the game, it just feels way too cartoonish and idiotic to me personally. So okay, Alvis. So a funny story with Alvis, actually, with Alvis in Xenoblade 1. When I played Xenoblade 1, I thought he was kind of a bit hackneyed. Like, I thought what his inclusion offered and what he was doing was a little forced. He was meant to kind of almost be this Deus Ex Machina kind of character, where he's thrown in as a wrench in the plot to save everyone and to be this, like, AI that creates the universe, or necessarily creates the universe, but helps Shulk determine what he wants the future to be after he fights God, sort of thing. And that felt really like, I don't know, it felt a little lazy to me. I mean, I think he was cool, but at the same time I was like, like they could have used him as more than just a cop-out answer to the end of the game, which is what he essentially turned out to be. But Definitive Edition actually did extend his lore a bit with his necklace, kind of signifying that he's an Aegis. Ties to Xenoblade 2, a lot of Xenoblade 1 fans will begrudge that, but I honestly appreciate it, because it expands the lore of the world and kind of gives him more of a meaning for being there. To me, I appreciated that, so I would probably put him as the first good when there character. Oh, alrighty then. Okay, Amalthus. I could talk for ages about Amalthus and how I do not like him at all, because he virtually just stands there in Xenoblade 2 and doesn't do anything, and then he's just evil and everyone believes he's evil. Now again, with Amalthus, it's not necessarily that he's like his motivations are bad or that he's a bad villain in his own merits. It's just the way that he's presented that makes it so messy and gross. Like, you get just a handful of like really poorly placed flashback scenes throughout Xenoblade 2 that show him like climbing the world tree, and the whole baby being killed thing, and like him kind of turning into this villain through flashbacks, which, like, okay, if you're following and paying attention, you understand that. But our characters, the cast of Xenoblade 2, Rex, Pyra, Mithra, Zeke, Nia, all of them, they don't see that progression at all. They just see Amalthus once or twice, and by the end of it, he's just suddenly a villain because Jin says so. Which, to me, it just seems like, I don't know, they skipped some steps. Like, the cast really needed to take time to marinate with it and understand why he's a villain. I don't really like him in Xenoblade 2 for obvious reasons, but in Torna, I think he has enough of a presence there that it kind of redeems him for some of the things. Like, he's built up a lot more gradually, and the cast actually does get to see him progress into this kind of sinister behavior. And although, you know, it's kind of only shown and not necessarily shown, but alluded to in the credits scene, we do get to see kind of the consequences of his villainous actions by the very end of the game. So I mean, it doesn't really make up for the fact that he's completely botched in Xenoblade 2, but Torna does make him a little better. So I'll put him in. He'll be my first meh character. You know, he's whatever. He's fine, and I don't think he needs to be. He's not horrible. Oh my god, the architect. Oh, that's actually such a weird character. So I mean, if we're gonna go based on canonical necessity, the architect is like essential. He's created the worlds of Xenoblade 1 and 2, and is essentially kind of a connecting factor in the overall lore. Now, the lore aspect of Xenoblade 2 is one of the things I actually did appreciate. You had the characters kind of connecting pieces between the worlds of 1 and 2, and you kind of see how this world's version of essentially Zanza ended up. I appreciate that, but he's like only there for a little bit, so he doesn't really have that much of an impact. I guess I'll put him in Goodwin there, but only because I mean, like, it's hard to commentate on a character who's literally just meant to be God, and like, in terms of his overall motivation, it doesn't really seem to be seen. You know, he's just kind of at the end of the game and is like there. Oh, okay, yeah, no, okay, yeah. Chairman Banna's bad. I don't even... Do I even have to say why Chairman Banna is bad? I mean, like, he's a meme character. He's a meme character who purely exists for a stupid subplot that is probably the worst part of Xenoblade 2. Chairman Banna is not good. Bridget. Oh, Bridget's so weird, because... I mean, like, I'm not gonna say Bridget's bad. Bridget's pretty fun, pretty funny when she's in the game and she says some funny stuff, but I feel like most of the time in Xenoblade 2, she's just kind of like there and she doesn't really do anything. But I mean, the moments that she's there, she's good for. I think I would put her in the good one there section. You know, she's a good character, has a lot of strengths, is a very, you know, uniquely designed character, and I like her inclusion in Torna as well. And I think in terms of one of the party members of Xenoblade 2, she does have a good amount of the standout moments compared to a lot of other cast members. So I would put her in Goodwin there. She's alright. Alrighty then, Dixon. He serves a plot point and really nothing else. I think Dixon is a very underutilized character, because he's the one moment at the very end of Xenoblade 1 where I feel things are cheated. You know, we don't really get that really deep connection between Dixon and Shulk that we're supposed to feel, because Dixon only kind of pops in every once in a while to help the gang, and we really don't have enough time to marinate with the context that, hey, Dixon pretty much raised Shulk from when he was a kid, grooming him to be the vessel for Zanza, but we didn't really know that he was, or it really wasn't given us enough time to understand that Dixon was supposed to be like a father figure to Shulk. We kind of just, he's there and he's that cool grandpa kind of dude, but he really doesn't have a whole lot of an impact in the story leading up to his moment at the end where he's a big kind of villainous betraying force. And I feel like there are some opportunities that were missed with Dixon. So I'll just say he's a good when there character. You know, he's he's solid when he's on screen. I always love to see some Dixon action, but he's not necessarily in an essential character. I think anyone could have played the role of Dixon, and it kind of would have ended up the same, you know. Dromark. Dromark is my first official "why are you here" character. Why is Dromark here? I mean, I get why he's here. Like, he's Nia's blade. He needs to be in the party because Nia needs to have a blade, and it helps to kind of give that twist of Nia being a flesh eater. But, like, in terms of his actual role in the story and, like, his significance as a character, he's there for a couple of comic relief jokes, and he's Nia's sidekick, but, like, what does he do aside from those two things? He doesn't, like, he didn't need to be in the game. Like, Nia could have just walked around without a blade for whatever reason, or could have just had a generic blade, and Dromark really wouldn't have been necessary. Now, I'm not saying, like, if you like him, cool, you like him, but I'm just saying he's not really, like, a character that stands out as having a lot of memorable moments or lines to me. Like, he has some pretty funny lines with Azurta, but it's like it really doesn't really contribute much in terms of being a character that can only do this one thing in the story, or a character that only has this one ability, or this character that is necessary for our understanding of the world, or he's just kind of there. Dougal's bad. I mean, Dougal's kind of like in between bad and why are you here. He's both. Dunban. All right, Dunban is definitely in the essential category. I mean, he's. I would say he's more essential than Adam for sure, because Dunban has this air about him that is, like, you just love the dude. And aside from that, if you played Xenoblade 1, you know his inclusion in the story is really paramount. His relationship to Dixon, his, driving revenge or feeling of revenge against Metalface or Mumkar, and his kind of loss, his palpable sense of loss of his sister, Fiora, is all really felt throughout the story. His character progression, his role in the story is felt. He really does act as this anchoring, guiding force, this mentor to our cast that kind of keeps them on the correct path. And by the end of the game, we kind of see the script flip. You already know. Okay. Oh, that's Egil. Oh my god. So Egil, I think we got our first goat here. Egil is one of the best villains, period. Now, I think it's funny, because if you don't really pay attention to Egil, you could really miss him. Like, he's not necessarily a villain who you bat much of an eye to, because you see him, he's the bad guy, you want to get him. But, like, his roles in Xenoblade 1 are so subtle and so heavily felt at the same time that I love it. Like, his motivations and goals and his connections and parallels to Shulk and our cast are really a really interesting way to have a villain, because we kind of just see him as this evil bad guy at first. He's turning all these Homs into Mechon. He's a crazy freaking person who is using this power that he's been given to essentially try to destroy all of the Homs. And you're like, okay, he's obviously evil. Why would someone do that unless they're pure evil? There's no reason for them to do that. We gotta stop this guy. He's just being a dick to be a dick. But then you learn about the philosophy and the reasoning behind what he's doing, and you see that what he is doing, what he's become, is exactly what Shulk could have been, is exactly what the people of Bionis, the Homs, could have been if they were so afraid of the Mechon and so afraid of Mechonis that they wanted to do a complete purge of the entire Mechon army, which, Shulk wanted to destroy every single Mechon. He wanted to destroy Egil, and he kind of realized that he was turning into that villain. He was turning into Egil, who used his power in as this self-righteous goal to destroy all of the Homs out of the fear that the Homs would eventually create the rebirth of Zanza and the destruction of the entire Mechonis and his people. Zeke's dad, the Emperor of Tantal, yeah, he's why are you here? I mean, like, he has like 2 lines, dude. He says like 2 things to Zeke that are of importance. He's just a messenger, really. I mean, he doesn't. He's a plot mechanism through and through. I don't really have much to say other than that. He's just kind of there. Oh damn. Okay, Fiora. Yeah. Okay, Fiora's a goat. I mean, so here's this is I guess this is a hot take now in 2021, right? Apparently, according to the internet. Alright, well, I just figured out that my audio cut out midway when I was talking about Fiora. So, I guess I'll just repeat myself completely. Fiora, it's a hot take that she's a good character because everyone is super reductionist about her, and they say, well, Fiora's whole character is just, oh, Shulk, I love you, but in reality, it's a lot more nuanced than that if you've actually played the game. You know what I mean? She has insecurities about her body, being the first kind of face mechon experiment that gains cognizance of her past life as a human. She has a lot of doubts and insecurities about her ability to help her friends move forward, and her entire, beginning goal of wanting peace for those around her and herself being tragically cut short when she's literally killed by Metalface makes her kind of like a tragic story overall. And then her impact in the story is felt even when she's not there and she's killed, because she's the main motivating factor for our cast to continue and to reach the Mechonis and to kill Metalface. So yeah, she's essential. I don't know what else about it. She's pretty great. She's an amazing character. Whoever tells you otherwise, they're capping. Or maybe I'm a fanboy, I don't know. Okay, moving on. You didn't notice it, but I put Gadol and Goodwin there. He's kind of like the same thing to Sharla that people say Fiora is to Shulk, where he's kind of like the, oh my god, Gadol, I love you, Sharla thing. And he keeps Sharla relevant at the end of the game, but in terms of him being like necessary or a character who's necessarily good, I don't think he's that great. He's just kind of there, but he's okay when he's there. I don't mind him at all. I mean, honestly, he's at the very bottom of Goodwin there, but he could also be in he could be in either one. I really don't know. Okay. I wasted way too much time having to redo that one. So, okay, who do we have next? Oh shit. It's the dude from Future Connected. For real with you, I kind of forget his name. I think it's... Oh, wait. Okay, his name is Galgar, right? I think that's how you pronounce it. I don't even remember. He's the crazy evil dude who is a high Entia who's like kind of racist, right? I think that's his shtick. He hates the mixed blood. I don't know what his future role in Xenoblade is going to be. I don't know if Future Connected is going to directly tie into events from Xenoblade to Xenoblade 3 or a future Xenoblade installment. But honestly, right now, he's a why are you here character. Like, why is dude even there? He barely does anything in Future Connected. He like... it's so... my thoughts on Future Connected have changed a bit since I played it. My first thoughts were really that it was like... not much of something to talk about, and I was waiting to see what the future of the series was going to do in order to keep it relevant and in order to make its characters more impactful, because it seems like they're setting up cards for a future game installment. But in reality, I think in terms of like the individual characters and the way Future Connected was, there's not a whole lot that like anyone does in Future Connected that makes it necessarily special, and that's whatever for me. I mean, I just wanted more Xenoblade 1, and Future Connected gave me more Xenoblade 1, but this character, I couldn't even really remember his name. I barely remembered what his entire role was in Future Connected, so that tells you a lot about him. Alright, Gort. Gort's definitely a meh character. I don't think he's necessarily that great. I think he's really underutilized. He kind of just shows up once, and I mean, I like him when he's there, but overall, he's just kind of like, eh. He's one of those shock factor villains that exists purely to elicit some sort of visceral reaction out of the player. And while that's nice every once in a while, what makes a cherry on top for a character like Metalface, for example, is that Metalface actually feels important. Um, Zerta. So I feel like this is a hot take, right? Zerta, Gramps, he's definitely in the meh for me. I mean, he's just not. He's he's just not. He's there, and he has some lines, and he has some significance to our cast, and he's not necessarily a character who's bad or anything like that. But he's just Gramps, man. I mean, I feel like he kind of exists as the Navi of Xenoblade 2, right? As like that character who sits on Rex's shoulder and commentates things every once in a while. And his presence is there, but I think anyone could have done his role again. Like, anyone could have been the Gramps. It didn't really have to be Zerta in and of himself. He does have some standout moments that I appreciate, you know? The fact that he's essentially the only sentient Titan that we're able to communicate with on a regular basis helps me kind of understand his role and understanding of the world of Xenoblade 2. And especially that's felt in Torna too, when he's talking to Jin, and we get to see his kind of progression as a character. He's kind of like his almost this watchful eye over the entire cast. He's seen the past events play out, and he's seen the current events play out in Xenoblade 2 and in Torna. And he kind of almost acts as a proxy for the player in some ways with that. But I don't think he's necessarily, you know, like, I don't think that's really a central point of his character a lot of the time. I think he's just kind of there to be comic relief half the time, and then the other half of the time, he's just there to provide basic commentary on the world and lore, because he's the most knowledgeable character in the party. So, I mean, yeah, he's kind of mad to me, in all honesty. Again, a lot of things they could have done with Gramps to make him really cool, but he wasn't really cool overall. Haze slash Fan, I mean, she's one of those underutilized characters, man. I'm gonna have to say, meh. She's another meh character. I mean, now I like her in terms of her design, and I like what she signifies in the game, but like, she as a character really is unremarkable. Like, she doesn't really say or do much that makes me feel like she has a major impact as a character. Sure, the role she plays is impactful. The fact that, you know, half of her core crystal was taken by Amalthus, and then he uses it to subdue the powers of the blades, or the fact that he was taken from Laura and then brought to the Praetorium under Amalthus's control and had the name change, which was, again, really weird to me. That's such an inconsistent story bit when some characters, like, I don't know, for example, will use Rock immediately out of this core crystal, remembers who his name is and says it out loud, but Haze doesn't remember her name and has changed to Fan, and no one really knows or explains why. Even like Jin, who'd known her or even Mithra, who had known Haze when she was Haze, doesn't say anything about it. Like, to me, that's just like, I don't understand at all. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. But I mean, like, there's the weird inconsistencies like that, and the fact that, like, her character in and of itself is not necessarily remarkable. It's the role she plays that makes her stand out. Okay, which one is this? This one's Hugo. Right, yeah, this one's Prince Hugo. He's definitely a good one there. I think he's okay. Definitely has a lot of good aspects to him. But he's not necessarily one of the key defining moments of Torna. Jin. I think I would put Jin as my first Xenoblade 2 GOAT, in all honesty. Like, if this was purely based on Xenoblade 2, I would say Jin is he's essential or a good one there. You know, he has a really pivotal role in the plot, and his character is really felt, and he kind of turns from an antagonist to an anti-hero. But I like that Torna gave him a lot of context, turned him from a gentle giant to an anti-hero to an antagonist, and then back into an anti-hero by the end of the game. You know, you really get to see progression in him, and he's one of the characters that, because of the role he plays and the parts that he plays, and the fact that he really only exists to be a serious character, he's given the most justice out of anyone in Xenoblade 2, really. So I can appreciate that. He's a good character. He's good. Yes. Melia's brother. I'll say he's meh. Kind of for the same reasons that I feel Hayes is meh, you know, like, he's there, and he plays a role, and the role definitely has impact, but anyone could have played that role, you know? He's not necessarily a character who's known for one or two things. He's not necessarily a character who's known for being him or having a personality trait. He's just there. Kino. Kino's meh, too. In fact, I'll say Kino and Nene both as a package are meh. You know, they're okay. Not necessarily the greatest characters, greatest Nopon sidekicks we've had, but they're okay when they're on the screen. I don't really mind them. They kind of just serve that whole stand-in for, you know, Charlotte and Ryan sort of thing. And I like their connection to Ricky and the fact that they make him a more complex character, but in terms of them and what they are, they're just kind of, they're the Nopon sidekicks. They're like the disposable Nopon sidekicks at this point. Oh my god. Alright, Lila, yeah, you're bad. She's not good. I don't care. You can't debate this with me. That whole subplot with Lila was such a mess. It tried to take itself seriously, but when you have a robot dressed up as a maid like that, and you fight a bobble-headed chibi version of that same maid, and like the character's introduced for 5 minutes in this really gross subplot, all as an excuse to get a Poppy form upgrade, it's just all cringe. I just don't like it. Like these characters, if you played Xenoblade 2, you know why these characters in the bad tier are here. Okay, you know why. I don't even think I need to argue with you as to why they're there. Okay, so forgive me, internet, but I completely forgot this character was Lanata, who is the character that the cast meets on the Mechonis, and who's the first Machina, and she helps fix Fiora. She's honestly mad though, because I barely remembered who she was, and her only real role is to give you the special Monado weapon and to fix Fiora up, so she's really not necessarily a pivotal character aside from that. That's not really much in terms of, yeah. So moving on from that, we have Laura too. Laura, I would say, is pretty essential. Great character. Kind of similar to how I feel about Adam, though. Her legacy is honestly kind of tainted by the events that played out in Xenoblade 2. Her impact in that game is pretty substantial, but I think she's a character who, when you kind of realize what happened afterwards, is a little, you know, I wish she was done a little more justice. I wish we got to see more of her into, and her story just wasn't cut short and torn up, but that's just me. I don't know. Yeah, I'm going to try to speed through the rest of these as much as possible. Larithia is definitely a meh character. Mimi boss fight for sure. Really big meme as a boss fight, but as a character, I don't really think too much of her. She's just one of those villainous type of characters that you kind of want to hate. Malos, I would say initially I felt like Malos was a good one there character, but with Torna he kind of turned into more of an essential character. He is really necessary. You see his transformation into more of a pivotal role because of Torna, and he really has more of a presence to the story there, and that makes his force as, you know, the big villain at the end of Xenoblade 2 feel a lot more impactful and meaningful. I just wish that he wasn't so confusing. I wish he was just kind of the villain throughout all of Xenoblade 2 instead of it jumping between him and Jin and Akos and, you know, Team Rocket and all them. So yeah. Melia is another essential character. I think Melia is really good. I think Melia has a lot of really strong moments, and she's one of the better aspects of, you know, of Xenoblade 1 in terms of her pivotal role to the story and her necessity in that and in Future Connected too. We really get to see the closure that was desperately robbed of her in Xenoblade 1, and in her story in particular with Future Connected. And I appreciate that a lot. I appreciate that they took the time to really make this character finalized and gave her, that connection to her sister that was kind of necessary. Oh, Metal Face. Okay, Metal Face. He's at the bottom of Essential, or the top of good one there. Metal Face is the top of good one there. I like Metal Face. He's a great villain. He plays a pivotal role, but overall his motivations are really reductive, and who he is as a character is really just like, oh, I wanted to be evil because I hate you guys. Like, okay, because I'm a sociopath is pretty much his reasoning. Which, I mean, like, yeah, okay, that's kind of a cop-out answer, but whatever. But he's one of those villains, again, he's like the quintessential you love to hate him kind of villain. And I love that Xenoblade 1 has that in him, because he is, like, every line he has on the screen is fantastic. He is like the pinnacle of Goodwin there. Like, I see Metal Face and I'm like, alright, I'm about to laugh to some really funny lines that this man's about to spew out of his mouth. Oh my god, Mikhail. Mikhail is definitely bad. He would have been Why Are You Here if it weren't for Torna, but he is bad now. Like, Torna is the one thing that makes this character honestly worse for me, because Mikhail was actually a pretty good character in Torna, and then he's just a complete shit show up until like he's about to die. Same thing with Akos, only like Akos had like a sliver of hope, but Mikhail was actually a good character, and then he turned into a dumpster fire. So yeah, to me he's just not a good character overall. Maybe if it was Kid Mikhail and it was just Torna, he would be a good one there, but he's bad overall. Milton is good one there. I like Milton. I think the role that he plays is okay. He's pretty funny as a comic relief character, and I like that his connection to Mithra pretty much causes the end events of Torna to play out, and causes both Mithra and Adam to go ahead with the decision to seal away Mithra's power for good. This is Minoth or Cole. Honestly, he's kind of mad. He plays a role as a mechanism in the plot, really, as a character who shows us what the bad flesh eater is. And he's a party member in Torna, but he really is like the most unremarkable party member in my opinion. Not really a whole lot to him. Not really a whole lot that makes him stand out from the cast, aside from his role leading into Xenoblade 2. Yeah, I don't know. This is the king of the Machina, right? Yeah, he's meh. Another meh character. I don't know. I don't think he's necessarily that good. Definitely has a lot of weird aspects to him, but he's just kind of there again. Character without too much to go on. This is going to be a hot take, but Morag is a Why Are You There character. I know some people don't like to hear the truth. They don't like to hear the truth. But Morag does nothing of importance after she's introduced. After Moradane happens, zilch for Morag. We get 5 minutes of her and her brother Niall talking, and her talking about how she should have been the heir to the throne, but she was only supposed to be, or she's only delegated to the general seat, and her like interpersonal struggles with her creed and her lineage is seen for a fraction of a second, and then it's thrown out the window and we never talk about it in the future. Super underutilized. Why is she even here? Why is she even in the story? Who is this? This is the dude who was with Banna, the scientist. He's bad. He's just bad. Okay, I'm gonna skip Mithra because this again is gonna be a hot take. It's gonna take a while for me to talk about it, but Niall is definitely another Why Are You Here character. Why does he die? There's no reason for him to die. He's not important. He doesn't do anything of importance, and they just kill him for 5 seconds, and then Nia brings him back. just to show off her healing powers. No reason for him to be in it. None at all. Nia is a goat. I've talked ad nauseum about Nia on the channel, but as a brief refresher, I like her because she shows a lot of gradual progression. She's one of the characters that's given the time of day in Xenoblade 2, and you really feel her progression as a character, her opening up to Rex and the cast, her feeling of emotion. She becomes one of my favorite characters personally in all of Xenoblade 2. A Brona, right? Yeah, that's a Brona. No, she's bad. No, why is she here? Why are you here? I don't. She exists to die at the beginning, and then when she dies after that, no one cares. Why is she here? Whatever. Thorns, meh. He's at the very bottom of meh. He's almost why are you here territory. I don't really get him at all. Pandoria, I would also say, is why are you here? Because Pandoria exists purely as comic relief, as a backup buddy comic relief character to Zeke, and nothing more. Name me one impactful thing that Pandoria does in the story. One thing that she does. Sure, she's like the reason Zeke's alive apparently, because the Blade Eater thing, right? I think that's how that one works. But like, she doesn't actually do anything. She doesn't actually do anything. So I mean, I don't know. Kroka, yeah, another why are you here character. I don't understand what her purpose in the story is. Poppy, regular Poppy, I would say is meh. I don't hate her. I don't like her. She's just there. But the other Poppy forms are definitely why are you here territory. Oh my god, Poppy, Cutie, and Cutie Pie, like why? What's the point of creating new Poppy, other than the fact that Tora needs new blades? But like, I don't see the purpose to creating whole new forms for this one robot anime lolly character. Okay, I guess I'll just go to ranking the three Aegis girls here. Pyra is probably my favorite of the three. I would put her in good one there. She really does play that meek anime girl trope. And Mithra definitely plays at that tsundere trope, which is why I don't like Mithra. If this was my personal list, I would say Mithra bad. I don't like Mithra. I don't think she's a good character. She's unnecessarily rude to everyone. She has this attitude about her that I can't stand personally. And nothing about that really changes by the end of the game. But considering I have to really think about the nuances of it, I'll say she's good when she's there. She's okay. She has a really deep character arc in Torna that I appreciate. And her personal struggles between, losing to Malos in Torna and the loss she's faced and her gaining sympathy for humanity by the end of the story, it's all felt and it's all real and I can appreciate it. And her kind of bouncing off of Rex with her really unnecessarily rude behavior to Rex's kind of, naive nature. Okay. Alright. Fine. But just keep in mind, I don't like her. Why is Numa here? I get why she's here, but why is she here? She doesn't... Numa... what is Numa supposed to be even? Because we don't even really see Numa as a character. There's really not much in terms of what separates Numa from Mithra and Pyra as an actual character, because she doesn't have any lines and she doesn't have a personality. Rex, you're in Juju tier. Okay, Ryan, he is essential. Ryan is an essential character. I love Ryan so much. He has so many deep and intricate aspects to him. When he was once Shulk's protector, now Shulk is protecting him, and he's funny. He's a funny dude. It's Ryan time. He's a lifesaver. He's funny. Funny Ryan. Ryan go burr. Okay. Ricky, honestly, Ricky's meh. I appreciate Ricky for some of the things that he eventually ends up being by the end of Xenoblade 1. He has a fatherly kind of figure aspect to him, especially when Kino and Nene were introduced. I would put him Definitely at the top of meh though. Uh, but he's overall just that comic relief character. Like at the end of the day, he's just kind of there for a couple laughs, and by the end of the game, he's like the odd one out almost. It's like, why is this goofy ass Nopon furry ball thing fighting God with us? I don't know. Rock is why are you here? Why is Rock here? Who invited this man to the party? Why is Rock like he's there and that's it. That's it. He comes back from the core crystal and then they don't ever talk about him or Vandam again. Charla, I would say Charla's good one there. I like Charla and I appreciate her, but I do agree that her character is really, it's almost all the criticisms of Fiora projected. Charla is the Gadol machine. She's, oh my god, Gadol, I need to save Gadol, 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 Gadol. And I mean, like, that works sometimes, and she has some role in the plot beyond that at certain points, but, you know, when that's her main motivating factor for moving forward in the cast, it does seem really one note, one dimensional. But I appreciate her. Her kind of bouncing off of Ryan throughout the game. I appreciate that. Ah, oh, Shulk. Alright, this is what we came for. Shulk is the GOAT. He's the best character in Xenoblade history. For sure. I mean, I've talked ad nauseum. I'll talk ad nauseum again. I'll talk until the cows come home. Shulk, amazing character. I love him. He's great. He has his interpersonal struggles between Zanza controlling him, becoming the vessel for Zanza in order to reawaken the Bionis. And essentially, he wields the Monado so he can free Zanza from the shackles. He gets his visions of the future directly as a result of Zanza feeding him imagery. His entire existence as he knew it beforehand was a lie to him. He has really deep character struggles throughout the entirety of Xenoblade 1 that we see. He loses his closest friend, his girlfriend, and the rage we feel is insurmountable. And then that rage blinds him and leads him to the sense of revenge that really you want to roll with him. You know, and then beyond that, he's a character he's not like a burly, strong dude. He's a nerd. He's a nerd who likes books, and he just so happened to have this fate thrust upon him because his girlfriend was killed, and his stepfather was the devil, pretty much. So yeah, Shulk, great character. I best character in Xenoblade history, as far as I'm aware. Bias, I'm sure, but whatever. The king, the emperor of the Hyantia. Yeah, I don't know. He's kind of between meh and why are you here? I don't think there's much to say about him. He exists to die. That's really it. Yeah, this dude, he's here to turn Gort into a monster, and that's it. To simulate blade technology shit. Yeah, no. Teelan, why are you here, Teelan? He's here to show that, I guess, yeah, Teelan's here to show that Tyrea has like a soft side. Tora, why are you here? He's here for comic relief, but he's honestly like the worst comic relief character in Xenoblade history. Yeah, I don't know. I just don't really like Tora. He's not grounded in reality enough to feel like a character that actually belongs in the story. His entire Lila subplot and his father's subplot is just completely detached from the entire events of Xenoblade 2, that it doesn't feel natural at all. Not a huge fan. I guess I'll just put both of these guys from Torna into meh, because again, they just exist to further plot points, and they really don't. I mean, he's kind of a dick, and, you know, he's kind of cool, and that's my opinions on both of them, in all honesty. Tyrea, I would say she's essential. I would say she's at the very bottom of essential, though. If you were to talk about her inclusion in Xenoblade 1, it was good when there, but with Future Connected, I would say she's essential. In terms of developing a relationship with Melia and her impact in the story overall, and the fact that although they're not necessarily connected by blood, their relationship is still a sisterly one because of their background and how they grew up together. I like Tyrea. Vandam, meh. I think Vandam's underutilized, but I don't think he's a bad character. I think Vandam's just there. I like Vandam when he's there, but he's also completely thrown away prematurely and is not given the closure that he directly needed. Where's that play? Come on, Takahashi. You said you were going to make a play about Vandam, and you never did it. I'm disappointed in you. Zord. Zord's good when he's there. This is Aegil's sister. She's alright. It's whatever. She's cool. I'm cool with her. Zeke. Zeke is another why are you here character. Comic relief. Sure, no. You know, oh my god, I moved the wrong. Zeke is meh. Zeke is okay, I guess. He has some funny lines, but overall, I think he's another one of those characters who I don't understand why he's on the journey to Elysium. Like, why is he going along with Rex? What's the point? Zanza is... He's again, at the top of Goodwin there. I would say between Goodwin there and Essential, Zanza has an essential role in Xenoblade, in the plot of Xenoblade 1. But in terms of his overall characterization, he's just kind of that benevolent god who has, who fears being ruled by, or who fears the creatures that he once created growing detached from him, so he wants to destroy them and start over so they feel an undying love for him. Essentially, he wants to feel immortal. He wants to feel like the sole one creator of the universe. And I mean, I appreciate that. That's a bit of a juxtaposition from the architect, who is more of a ruler of humility. And he's good when he's there, but I mean, wish there was more screen time for Zanza for sure, other than being delegated to the tail end of Xenoblade. Okay, the last character is Yumea. Weird character to end off on. Yumea. Well, I don't know. Yumea's kind of, why is she here? You know, I mean, I don't understand why she's even on this list. She's not really a pivotal character to the plot overall. She just kind of is there for a couple minutes and that's it. But in all seriousness, let's talk about Rex. I mean, I don't hate Rex. I really don't. But he's... it's so weird to me. I'll say Rex. Rex is meh. Top of meh for me. I don't like him. I don't think he's good when he's there. He's definitely one of my least favorite protagonists in Xenoblade, period. But I think I appreciate that he's different and he's kind of a goofball, I guess is the best way to put it, yeah. I don't know how else to put it other than that. Rex. Sorry, Rex. I just don't like you. You're a dweeb. Your voice acting's not that good. Sure, he has a lot of nuances to his character, and he's got a lot of good sides, and you can appreciate those, but as a package, you gotta take the good with the bad, you know? Oh, okay, fine. I'll give it to you. Fine. There you go. Rex is there. He's there now. So, this is my Xenoblade character tier list. Please, take a good long look at it, a good gander. This is what I think of the cast of Xenoblades 1, 2, and Torna, and Future Connected. So thank you guys for watching. Share your opinions in the comments below, and please don't get mad over mine. Again, it's all just my thoughts and opinions. There are some characters here that you might like, and you might disagree with me on these. That's the beauty of the internet. We can agree to disagree. And just because I don't like something doesn't mean you have to like it, or you don't have to like it. You are a free agent of your own opinion and your own thoughts. That's why you should share them below, and leave a like if you like the video and you want me to do something else like this in the future. I appreciate your time. Thank you for watching. I need to exit OBS. Okay, bye.